welcome back to another episode of Cyber Go-to-Market Girl Talk, the go-to podcast for females in cybersecurity. As a reminder, I am interviewing inspiring females from a range of cybersecurity and AI startups in our space, and hearing a little bit about their experience in our world. But we're very much focused on season 3 right now, where we're speaking to HR and talent acquisition leaders. So I'm very grateful to be joined by Shathiya, who heads up the global talent acquisition team over at Cyberhaven. So welcome, Shathiya, and thank you for joining. I really appreciate you joining my episode.
Thanks, Elle, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, this episode, we're going to be exploring and hearing a little bit from Shathiya on Cyberhaven, what it is that you guys do, but also digging into the weeds of the people and the culture, and also where people should be keeping an eye out for any hiring activity and so forth. So I guess firstly, Shathiya, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role, what you're doing, and tell us about Cyberhaven as well.
I have a critical role, as you'd say, bringing in great talent to Cyberhaven. I do oversee the global talent acquisition, operations, and employer branding. We are a tiny team of 4 recruiters. They do run full desk, distributed globally based off of the region to support the local hiring needs. To say a little bit about Cyberhaven, we are redefining data security for the AI era. Our platform traces how sensitive data actually moves across people, systems, and AI itself, where we give companies the visibility and control to stop real risks before they actually turn into some serious damages. We are a Series D company, roughly about 300 people. We call ourselves tracers. We are a truly distributed global team, predominantly here in the US, but then we also have hubs across the globe: Romania, Switzerland, and India.
Awesome. Thank you. So very much a global remit there for sure. And thanks for sharing a little bit about what it is that you do, but also what Cyberhaven are doing. And I guess that leads nicely on to the first question to kind of kick things off here. So how are you guys positioning yourself as a company of choice to attract talent in a world that is full of innovation, but also a lot of AI noise at the moment?
I'm so glad we're starting on this topic, right? We are in this moment where everything feels amplified and every headline is about AI. There's a lot of excitement, but then there's also a lot of noise. So when it comes down to the best talent, the really thoughtful builders that we typically go after, they aren't necessarily chasing noise, but they're trying to understand what actually matters. Like, what are we solving? Why does it matter? And why now? And at Cyberhaven, the answer is pretty grounded, right? Companies run on data, and that data is actually moving through cloud apps, a lot of tools that teams share, endpoints, but also a variety of AI tools and systems. And the data is moving faster than ever right now. And security teams are sort of trying to protect it with a patchwork of disconnected tools that don't necessarily interact or provide the context, which creates stress, blind points, blind spots. It also creates fatigue. So to give security teams clarity instead of more alerts, we have built this unified, natively integrated platform that follows data wherever it goes. So there's one architecture, one shared data lineage, and one console. So when I think about why candidates choose Cyberhaven, it really comes down to 3 things: the problem that we are solving, the culture, and the stage, right? The most important thing is we are the front line in terms of innovation in cybersecurity. The space is evolving fast, especially with AI changing how data moves, how risk shows up. And we're not layering incremental features on what we have, like the traditional DLP, but we're rethinking how data security should work at a much different foundational level And for engineers or product people, security talent, that's very exciting. You actually get to work on hard, meaningful problems that actually matter. And the other thing is that stage we are in. Like we are in that very rare window where we have a proven product, uh, customers are real, but then there's still so much to do and shape. So when you come in, you're not just maintaining something, you're actually building and scaling. And that's a huge draw for a lot of people who are optimizing and heavily indexing on impact. And then the culture itself, right? Like we're still very much startup in mindset. There's a huge ownership, low ego, and a lot of trust. And people here don't necessarily wait to be told what to do. They actually lean in, they build, they challenge ideas, and we move really fast. It's such a collaborative, but direct and mission driven culture. So, you know, culture, the stage, and innovation, those are like top of things why talent join us. And end of the day, people want to build something ambitious and be part of a culture that values ownership and depth and actually living in the moment when the industry itself is being reshaped.
I love that. I think you're right. There's three key areas there that are very important. And I know that when I'm speaking with candidates, those themes that you've spoken about are often very much at the center of the conversation that I have with candidates around what it is that they're looking for when they're thinking about making a move into another organization, especially when it comes to, if I think go to market, right, which is what I focus on, and salespeople. Salespeople, a lot of them have a lot of relationships that they've spent many years building, and they want to know that if they're going somewhere and they're going to have an opportunity to sell them what they're kind of selling, that it's something that is meaningful, it really is targeting a problem, and it's something that is going to be worthwhile the spend. It's addressing a real kind of need. So I think that's key. And then also, you're right, the stage as well. You guys are at this inflection point where maybe there's still some maturing that's going to happen there as you're still a startup. So there's lots that people can have real kind of tangible business impact on. You've also got customers, you've also got a proven product, and so it gives people some comfort. So it's really nice kind of window for people to come in. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's really helpful to understand. And again, you obviously touched upon kind of the DSPM space there briefly, and it is a prime space in cybersecurity. We have obviously seen a lot of other vendors that are maturing in this space, sorry, and have had a lot of success. If you think of Varonis and Cyera and Big ID, for example. So you've obviously touched upon a few key things there, but I'm just curious if there's anything else that you think makes Cyberhaven a compelling business to join in the context of those other players that are also in a very similar space to you guys.
So, Elle, when candidates actually bring this up, like very similar question, right? I actually love it because it means that they're doing their homework. So, why Cyberhaven? It's simple. If you are excited by the idea of building something foundational, and I'm going a little deeper, right? You're not just scanning data where it sits, but actually understanding the whole journey. And that's very unique about us. And data lineage is central to how Cyberhaven works. And we have the full data lineage capabilities, unlike other players in the same space. We're not just layering features onto an old model, but we're actually rethinking how data protection works in a world where data is constantly moving, changing, and flowing through AI systems. So, for a candidate, it's unique. Like the value prop is very unique. And on top of it, as we discussed earlier, we have the traction, we have the customers, and we have the momentum. But we're also at a stage where you come in, you're not going to be part of a huge crowd, right? You will have the impact. If you're an engineer, you're going to have your fingerprints on the product or the features, and you're coming in as the seller, you have a say in how the product features evolve down the road. You also have a say in the culture and the direction of the company. So for people who want to do meaningful work with real ownership, we feel like the right kind of bet. And I'm so glad you brought this question, because we had a similar discussion come up in our recent all hands, and Nishant, our CEO, had a great take on it. He said to race against others is a privilege. It means the industry is thriving. It means there's real innovation happening, and there's a real opportunity for a meaningful success. And I love the perspective, because he framed the competition as a validation that we are building in a space that uh, is evolving. It truly matters. And we are actually making a significant difference compared to others.
Love that. That's such a great way of framing things, is that if you know that there are competitors out there that are operating in the same space, it means that there's something tangible there. There is something that is a reason why you guys are doing what you're doing. And everyone likes a little bit of friendly competition, right? It's, it's normal. But no, that's really helpful. And we're going to move on to my next question, which is one of my favorite types of questions. But let's talk about hiring. We're obviously now in second month of 2026, albeit we're about to move into March at the time of obviously filming this. So tell us a little bit about what your hiring plans are looking like for this year.
Yeah, that's great. This is actually our month one of our fiscal year.
Okay.
And we had a great finish for the last fiscal year and exciting plans ahead for this year. We are growing, so if anyone's interested to learn more, feel free to reach out to me or anybody on the team.
Awesome. Okay, so real global footprint then that we're targeting for this year. Exciting, exciting. Okay, and then let's talk about the kind of talent that actually thrives at Cyberhaven. So anyone that's listening to this that might be thinking, okay, my interests are piqued. I like what I'm hearing. What type of talent is it that is going to thrive in your business?
That's a great question. And to begin with, I always tell people um, startups aren't everyone's cup of coffee, and that's totally okay. Here at Cyberhaven, we move fast. Things could get unpredictable and a lot of pivots. And some of us thrive in that environment and some don't. It's just the nature of the tide. So I would say if you want to succeed here, a few things really matter. First and foremost, perseverance is going to be, priority shifts, some setbacks, and things could break a lot. That's fine. But having that ability to just keep going, staying curious, and figuring out solutions on the go is huge. The second thing I can think of is a growth mindset, sort of looking at challenges as a learning opportunity. Like, not always things are going to go the way you want to, but, having that ability to take a step back, zoom out, and say, okay, it didn't go well, but what is my key takeaway? And can that be used for the next time? And how does that make me better? That mindset changes everything, the whole perspective, and that's very much needed. And the most important one probably is enjoy the journey. Right? Startups can be a roller coaster, but someone who's willing to take the risk, celebrate the wins, but also acknowledge the failures, the learnings, and sort of really soak in the whole experience. I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah, very important. And I think it's a good thing to bring to the forefront is that startups are very different and they're not necessarily for everyone. A lot of people that I speak with necessarily haven't always been in a startup, but they've been thinking about it. They hear a lot about it. It's very cool. It's like, oh, okay, I could get on board with that, but they don't really know what it takes to be in a startup. And it is a relatively unstructured environment that has a lot of maturing that is required, and people do need to be agile. And I don't think it's just about people like accepting that and doing that. It's like you have to enjoy that. You have to actually enjoy that way of life and wake up every day and think, I actually really enjoy being in an environment where things can chop and change, because it means that I can play a part of shaping that. If you don't enjoy it, your days waking up, going to work are going to be a little bit difficult, I think.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, the people who really thrive in startups are naturally curious,
Mm,
very resilient, and genuinely excited about building something meaningful, right? Like I would call them as builders. When you're excited about that, even when the path isn't perfectly clear, and who isn't shy from taking risk. So I believe those are the type of people who succeed at any startup.
nice. Okay, let's move on then to interview process. So now people have listened to our conversation, they're really interested in Cyberhaven, and they're like, right, let's move forward and put in an application. What can people expect an experience to look like during an interview process with you? With the caveat that, of course, each role is going to be slightly different, but just a broad kind of overview of what people should expect.
Yeah. So it typically starts with a recruiter screen, like a chat, a very informal chat, a conversation to see if there is a real fit both
Mhm.
ways. And then comes a conversation with the hiring manager that goes a little deeper, where we talk about the team, the role, the impact, but then also sort of like understand more about their background, their experience, sort of hear how they think about like solving problems or their general approach. It's almost like interviews are like a two-way street. Like as
Mhm.
much as we want to know if you're the right fit, like it's also a great opportunity for candidates to understand, is this the team that I want to be part of?
Yeah.
So after the hiring manager conversation, there's like a couple more rounds. And as you said, depending on the role, for example, engineering roles, there will be coding and design exercises.
Yeah.
And for go to market roles, it could be presentations, working sessions, brainstorming with the team. So the goal here is very simple, just sort of like test, can we collaborate, problem solve, and can we work together?
Yeah.
And then that's followed by conversations with the exec leaders. At that point, it becomes more of, okay, talk to me about the company, your vision, what next, like the bigger picture, but also addressed any questions around the business itself. And that's followed by references. We do, of course, do references. And I kind of like to think of that as we want to listen to the echoes of the candidates past so we
Yeah.
can sort of like set them up for success in this chapter here at Cyberhaven. Like we just want to make sure that we sort of understand and listen to people who worked with them on a day-to-day basis, so like we are prepared and we can support them from day one. And two things actually stick throughout the process, and that's really tied to candidate experience, which is very important for us, right? Like from the moment someone starts talking to us, we want them to feel respected, heard, and sort of like their time matters. It is a huge investment. So
Yeah.
we have a policy of no update, meaning we're constantly keeping candidates in the loop on what's actually happening, right? Like it is a very nerve-wracking process, so we want to make sure that this is what's happening, so constantly keeping them in loop, like tight communication is a key thing for us. The other piece is getting feedback. You're doing great, fantastic, but we want to hear what are we missing so we can fix any deltas in the process. And even if the role wasn't a fit, we want the candidates to walk away thinking that was a great experience, I want to revisit down the road. Making every single candidate as an ambassador for us, like what we're building, like culture wise, the product and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, it's about treating people the way we want them. We want ourselves to be treated, irrespective of the outcomes.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things that you've said there is no update, because that is so important, genuinely. I think where things can sometimes go amiss in a recruitment process is the piece around the communication. And when there is no communication, people are left with nothing but their own assumptions and trying to figure out where they're at, what's going on. And you start spiraling down a rabbit hole. And so I think that it's a small thing, but has a big impact. Just making sure that you're keeping in communication so that everyone is aligned and on the same page. And as you said, even if it's to say, we actually don't have an update at the moment, but that is the update. We're still thinking of you. We're still working on this, and we want the conversation to continue. We will come back to you. That is really important. It's when there's quiet, there's darkness, people don't know what's going on, that it can be really detrimental. And I actually also as well think that sometimes it's even just having a call to be able to chat that through is really important, because things get miscommunicated on whether it's a text or whether it's an email, because you are missing tone, you're missing language, you're missing kind of connotation and things like that. And it can be really important, even if it's just a quick, hey, don't have an update for you, this is what we're working on, but you are still very much important to us and on our minds. It makes a really big difference. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, totally agree there. I mean, it's almost like bringing that human element to the whole process, right? It does take a couple of minutes, but hopping on a quick call or even like a casual text saying, hey, just thinking of you, don't have an update, or I was hoping to sync with the team today. It didn't happen for XYZ reasons, but I should probably have an update for you next day or two, like the constant communication line. And that's what I said, right? Like, we really want to make sure that we treat people the way we want to be treated ourselves, right? Like, putting us in their shoes helps a lot.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I respect it. Thank you. Okay, last few questions then. So, obviously, you've mentioned that you guys are expanding your global footprint, and so with that, I would imagine there's a remote environment that comes into play. So, how do you promote culture and employee engagement in a remote environment?
As you called out, we are a global team, which means keeping culture takes a little bit of creativity, but then a lot of like intention. One of my favorite things is we do something called Let's Connect. It's a monthly virtual coffee, tea, or drink of the choice sync, depending on the time of the day, because it's early morning for some of us, mid of the day, late evening, or later into the night for folks living on the other side of the world. It's a very informal chat. It's just a space for people to hang out, share stories, and check in with each other. And we don't stop there. A few times a year, we also bring teams together for offsite so people can meet face to face, get that in person bonding time. We also have a culture committee, a bunch of passionate tracers who come up with fun ways to keep us connected. They've run things like the Halloween costume competition last fall, and they're constantly brainstorming new ways and ideas to sort of bring us all together. And also, each of our hubs, we have a culture ambassador. Someone's making sure that there's local events like happy hours, dinners, and sort of opportunities to have folks connect and spend time outside of work. Yeah, so those are like few things that I can think of.
Nice. Okay. Well, I get the sense that I get from it is that it's very intentional. There are some things there that are intentional about making sure that you are keeping people connected in a remote environment, which I think is important.
Yeah. So I think it's about creating those moments, right, where people feel seen, included, and also connected. And we are a global company, and getting people the same room is not possible on a day-to-day basis. So we still want people to feel like they're part of something bigger, right? A team that collaborates together. We celebrate wins. We also acknowledge some of the things that don't well work, or even solving problems together, but also succeed as a team. So you know that's something that we are heavily indexing on when it comes down to culture, the one team mentality.
Good. Okay. And I guess, are there any exciting plans or any news that's coming up that you're allowed to share? Maybe you can't, but anything that might be interesting tidbits of information for prospective candidates to know about at all?
I mean, there's a lot of momentum happening right now. I'm sure you might have come across that. We just launched our unified AI and data security platform at our winter product launch earlier this month. It
Hmm.
was a huge milestone for us. Last week was our sales kickoff. We brought the teams together, created a ton of energy heading into the year.
Yeah.
And in a couple of weeks, we do have our R&D offsite to sort of align on like what's next in terms of like product roadmap and features. And then right after that, we are heading into RSA. It's going to be a busy stretch for us. We're also getting ready to officially go live with our India office and entity, which again is an exciting step in our global expansion.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a lot happening, a lot of a forward momentum.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good reminder that RSA is quite literally around the corner. So if anyone's going to be out and about, they should definitely come and check out Cyberhaven and see what you guys are doing, and chat with the team there as well. I think that's a perfect opportunity to get some one-on-one time with you guys as well.
Yes, great call up there.
Cool. All right. Last question then, which I always like to finish off with, is just for any candidates that might be looking to have a successful career in a startup world, from your experience, are there any sort of tips that you've picked up over the years that you would love to kind of leave us with and share?
We briefly touched upon this earlier, like people who thrive here at Cyberhaven. That sort of like translates, I would say, like naturally curious, bias for action, can go with the flow, right? Like rolling with the punches, sort of
Hmm.
a mentality. Those things are very much needed if you want to succeed at a startup. Like the builder mentality is critical for sure. But at the same time, that said, it's not everyone's cup of coffee, and that's perfectly okay as well. But if you've never been part of a startup, you should definitely give it a chance, because personally, I've been part of a variety of startups and I've learned and grown a lot as an individual. The amount of
Hmm.
learning that you get exposed is incredible, and that's like a personal takeaway for me.
Yeah. No, I love that. And not to sound cheesy, but I do think that the most growth that we have as a person and in our career is when you come from the most discomfort. And sometimes when you're in a startup, it can be a bit uncomfortable. There's a lot that's going on. You're somewhat stretched left, right, and center. You wear multiple hats. But if you really want to stretch yourself, your learning and your capabilities, then it can be a really great platform for you to be able to do that. So, yeah.
I know your job description doesn't stay the same every day. It changes, and that's the beauty of working at
Mhm.
startup, because you roll up your sleeves, you end up wearing multiple hats, and it's an experience that a lot of people enjoy if you have that mindset of, okay, I don't know how to do, but you know what? I will figure it out, which means I'm going to learn something new out of it.
Exactly. Well, really great advice that you've given there. So thank you so much for joining and talking to us about your role in Cyberhaven. I know that I say this at the end of probably every episode, but I genuinely mean it. I walk away thinking that if anyone is listening to this, which I know they will be, they're going to have had some really great insight into the world of Cyberhaven, what it's like, what the people are like, and I've no doubt be really excited by that. So thank you for spending time with me today and talking with me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Elle, for having me today. It's been a really fun conversation. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to share our story here at Cyberhaven, what we're building. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.